I'm Revenant the Nub, 8 times Apex Master, and this is my Season 14 Split 2 Legends tier list. Okay, so this is a Season 14 Split 2 tier list, specifically for Stormpoint. So in S tier, there are 3 S tier legends, I would say, for this split, and this is pretty much, you're going to see these on every single team. That's going to be easily Horizon, Seer, and Valkyrie. You're going to see a Horizon, Seer, Valkyrie on basically every team. This is the current ranked meta, so that ranked meta right now is for aping, and then combine that with Stormpoint, you need a lot of verticality. So great for aping is Seer, and also Horizon, and then great for verticality and rotations whenever you ape into zone or whatever it is Valkyrie and of course Horizon. So these 3 together are an absolute powerhouse. If you're not running them, you're kind of silly. So there's some legends that you can flex in there. I'd say that in A tier is actually Bloodhound. Bloodhound's been kind of B tier for a while, but double scan meta is pretty much also meta if you aren't running this one comp. So you could sub in Bloodhound for Valkyrie if you want something very, very aggressive, or you could also sub in Bloodhound for Horizon if you want double scan, but a little more passive. And again, with A meta, Maggie is actually an A tier if she is properly played. She can be extremely effective. I think more effective than Ashe even. I think also in A tier, because of his buffs, if you're playing a little more of a defensive style, is Newcastle. And I do think Newcastle is better than Gibby right now because honestly, if Newcastle has a gold res, even if you are on top of his head, you have a very, very low chance of getting that thirst. I have been literally bamboozled and outplayed constantly by Newcastle's. If he gets a gold res, it is literally GG right there if you don't get him down first. I think as far as A tier goes, that kind of fills it out. B tier is every legend that is basically viable. B tier is like, these legends are all viable, you can play them. You know, are they the best? No. Are they bad? No, not at all. I think Bangalore is B tier. I actually hate playing with Bangalore's. This is mostly just due to if she is played improperly, she is a detriment to her team, but I think she is a rather effective legend. I think Fuse is actually in B tier right now. He's getting some ALGS play time. I think in ranked, he's less useful because there is not sweaty in games with the 8 meta right now. I haven't had a single good in game in Diamond right now, but I think he is good. I think Gibby still has his previous power and he would be in A tier if it was an 8 meta. And also if Newcastle wasn't as good as he is. I think Loba is in B tier. A lot of people rate her higher, but the thing is Stormpoint has great loot. Stormpoint has great loot. You often get a POI to yourself. So there's just no need for Loba, whereas I would actually put her in A tier for other maps. For Stormpoint, I don't think she's as effective. I think Ashe is also in B tier. She's a great ape legend. Her abilities are a little bit lackluster, but overall, I think she's solid. I think Octane also sits in B tier. He's decent, but, you know, all of his previous nerfs in this previous seasons, you know, kind of hold them down in B tier in comparison to some of the other flexibility that the other legends have. I think Wraith is also sitting solidly in B tier. I don't know. This is kind of tough. You know, a lot of legends are viable. I think for the current meta, Vantage played properly can also be B or A tier. And the same goes for Pathfinder, but Pathfinder's hitbox is kind of atrocious. Now for C tier and D tier, I don't think any legend sits in E or F tier in my personal opinion, except for Lifeline and Mirage are both E tier. They're basically useless for their team. A decent Lifeline, it can be more useful, especially with gold res, but overall, if we're talking about, you know, real competitive ape meta, I don't think Lifeline is all that effective in comparison to some of the other legends, and she is one of the worst legends in the game. Now for C tier, I think Caustic can still sit in C tier. I just don't think he's that great on Stormpoint and in the current meta. Crypto, if played properly, could be above C tier, but I'm going to go based on the average person who plays Crypto. He's going to be sitting in C tier with the current 8 meta. I think Rampart sits in the same spot. She's perfectly viable. Unfortunately, Revenant as a cool legend, great skins, great heirloom, sits in D tier. And I think Watson also sits in D tier because her fences and her pylons simply aren't as effective on Stormpoint as other maps. I think she would definitely shoot up a couple tiers if number one, played properly, because she's a really tough legend to play because she requires a lot of micromanagement. And also she's way more effective on World's Edge and Kings Canyon. So that's my tier list. Take it or leave it. That's what it is.